Super Bowl, 3 Pro Bowls, is joining us as he does on Monday. So, boy, it's a week-to-week league. I was saying this is that I think, Brady was pocket, Jared Goff is pocket, Kirk Cousins pocket. They're excellent. They're real pros. I mean, obviously Brady. But there is something to be said with rule changes and the elite offensive coaching. Moving the pocket helps. And everybody wants the mobile quarterback, but yet I don't think there's a quarterback in the league that's good that gets criticized more than Lamar Jackson. And I'm like, guys, time out. You keep telling me all these guys that run you love. That's the best I've ever seen. But, man, when I watch him, I think he's also really capable from the pocket. It's not just a runaround guy. And it feels like he's getting better in the pocket. What do you see?
Yeah, Colin, I agree. I think he's a phenomenal pocket passer, full field progression reader. Some of those other guys that you mentioned, Tom Brady, I think of Peyton Manning, I think of some of those guys, Phillip Rivers, they had no choice but to be a pocket passer. I worked for many years with Steve Young, and he would always talk about how he thinks it was more difficult for him to become a pocket passer because he knew he had the ability to just kind of take it and run.
Yeah.
And I think you see Lamar over the course of his career, when they're playing meaningful football in December, he's banged up. And so he needed to find a way to, sort of like preserve himself and be ready for his team when he needs them. And I think you get the best of both worlds right now. I think you get a full field reader that can see the whole field. And obviously, he's the most talented runner that's ever played the quarterback position.
Yeah, I mean, you're watching the linebacker between the linebacker and safety. Those are hard NFL throws against McDermott. We all want the athletic quarterback. That's the best one I've ever seen. And I think Buffalo generally is well coached on defense.
Yeah, and Colin, can I add one thing? I think a good mark of what the defense thinks about you as a passer, as a full field pocket passer, can be measured by how much they respect your screen game. So next time you watch a Lamar Jackson game or go back and watch the last 4 weeks, people respect the heck out of the Baltimore Ravens screen game because they really do truly respect him as a deep ball thrower. And I believe I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say this. I believe that Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback when it comes to throwing to tight ends, all the way back to college. This guy has a knack for making tight ends that aren't open. And, so if and when he puts it all together consistently, he really already has. Who am I kidding? This guy can go toe-to-toe with any quarterback in the game.
Yeah, he's so fun to watch. So explain to me, I thought this was a terrible spot for Bo Nix and the Broncos. Rookie quarterback, Jets had extra prep time. Aaron's one of the smartest guys out there. And it was 13 penalties, a lot of offensive stuff pre-snap. Explain that to me. So after the game, the coach says this, the quarterback says this. I don't know. You do. What? And these are veteran O-linemen.
It's a frustrating game, bad weather. I mean, they expect to score. Here's the deal. The Jets have an awesome defense. And I think I said it the first time I talked to you. They just need to scheme up some fun offense and let Aaron Rodgers be the point guard. They don't need him to play NBA superstar ball, although he's capable. And he had some great throws and great plays in that game. But I think what we're talking about at the press conference, Aaron Rodgers is backed up on like the 1 yard line. And he uses his great hard count. Nobody's got a better hard count than him. And the Jets jump. No big deal. Half the distance to the goal. You lost six inches. You would have gained 5 yards. Okay. Then they went on a hard count again. And they jumped off sides again. But whatever. We lost like 3 inches. Not a big deal. We could have gained 5. Risk reward. But then later in the game, the Jets are on the 1 yard line going in.
Yeah.
And this is an area where it's just kind of an unspoken. Quarterbacks never go on a hard count on the 1 yard line going in. Always on the 1 yard backed up, never going in. Now you're Aaron Rodgers. You can do things that other guys don't do, but it's got to work. And what did the Jets do? They jumped off sides. And so, that's where that rift came post game between Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh. And, it is what it is. I mean, technically Coach Saleh is absolutely right. And I don't think he feels like, I think he somewhere in his mind is saying, hey, if you could just manage the game the way Brock Purdy does, we would have won this game.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So sometimes things happen in sports and I don't have an explanation. Okay. So I was told from the former Arizona Cardinal GM, Steve Keim, he said Kingsbury may not be a head coach, the temperament. He said, but as a caller and a designer, he said he's going to crush in Washington. And he told me, he said he loves Jayden Daniels. Okay. 82% completion percentage? I thought this was a bad offensive line. I don't even understand what I'm watching. What are you watching? What's happening there?
It's something historic. It's ridiculous. Like, they are in such a zone, and Jayden Daniels is smooth. He's calm. It's like he's either the coolest cat that's ever lived and has the most confidence, or he has absolutely no idea like how big it is what he's doing. Like, his completion percentage, like, these guys don't even punt. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I would just say about Cliff Kingsbury, your life experiences as a coach can change you and make you a better coach. Pete Carroll would talk about it all the time. He failed as a head coach with the Jets and with the Patriots. Then he takes a year off of football. Then he goes back to USC and has a different philosophy and is influenced by some other people. And then when he has a great run at USC, obviously, and then gets to Seattle and kind of has a different identity as a coach. I think that can happen to a lot of different coaches. And I think Cliff Kingsbury is an example of that. And also, you mentioned maybe he's a better play caller than he is a head coach.
Yeah.
Like, in my era, when I was playing, Mike Martz was one of the great offensive guru play caller minds that I can remember, but wasn't quite as successful as a head coach. So I think Cliff Kingsbury is probably in that sweet spot where he's just loving what he's doing, calling football plays, designing passing schemes. And now you team him up with like an Anthony Lynn, and you get this like hard-nosed football, 11-on-11 tackle football run game. And we're mixing personnel groups, unlike you did when you were the head coach at Arizona. I think these guys, I think they have a real edge to them right now. And, I think they're real.
So, listen, I know, like, the Rams are falling apart, cluster injuries at receiver, O-line. I get it. And I get that A.J. Brown's important, or Devontae Smith. But Philly doesn't have a point in the first quarter. Everybody does. Bad offenses do. And I understand also that some coaches are more tied to their play sheet. Kyle Shanahan loves that play sheet. He's brilliant. Some coaches like the adjustments at half. I get that. I totally get it. But it feels like to me, Matt, there's a hole in Sirianni of the prep up to. So, I mean, some teams are just, frankly, very good in the first quarter in the first two series. I mean, Shane Steichen historically, he's very good in the first two series. What does it tell me when this team can't, with Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, and in the first couple of weeks a healthy O-line, not a point? Is it preparation? Is it a bad play sheet? What is that?
Well, it's all of those things. Philly fans know this was the team that was the best in football to start games. That's what they were known for. They had an identity. People feared them. It's 1st and 10 for the whole league. It's like 1st and 8 for Philly because they got the tush push.
Right.
Now they don't even really trust it themselves. So I think there's been a good amount of turnover. Obviously the coordinators, you lose your Hall of Fame center, you lose some pieces. And I think, as a quarterback, sometimes when you lose like your guy or the guy that you really trust or the person in your ear or the guy that you're spending all your time with, it can be a little bit of an adjustment. And sometimes it can be a little bit, you're caught in no man's land. Like, hey, my previous coach told me this, my new coach is telling me that. And, I've had a lot of different coaches. Like, how do I handle that situation? So this just looks like a team that you don't recognize, but I don't think Philly fans are super surprised by the result in Tampa. Like, I don't think the Eagles fans, and that's a knowledgeable fan base, I think they going into that game said, our quarterback doesn't look like our quarterback. Our run game doesn't look like our run game. We have a little bit of hope because Saquon, we know what he can be, but like, I don't think they've figured that out yet. And so, yeah, this is a team that's a little bit fractured right now, and they got to figure it out.
Sometimes you get the perfect coaching staff. I could argue when they had Nick Sirianni, and they had the other coordinator now at Arizona. But those coordinators are going to leave. And I look at Minnesota, and do I buy them? Yes, because I think Brian Flores is brilliant. Even in Miami, he and Tua may have scuffed. That defense, 8 games into his coaching career in Miami, was unbelievable. That dude can coach. Now you got to repair his sort of image. Tua took a shot at him. And I think Minnesota and Kevin O'Connell are trying to help him out a little bit. They're putting him on the podium. He addressed the Tua stuff. I think he's going to be a head coach. I think he's brilliant. I just don't think he's going to be in Minnesota long. But between Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, I feel like it is a perfect staff for each other. And sometimes you get, Matt, where you get this brilliant offensive coordinator, he's getting a head job. But I buy into Minnesota because of the playmakers and this staff. Literally other team, Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur looked overwhelmed by it. So I buy the Minnesota thing. If not for the players, for the staff. What say you?
Yeah, listen, Brian Flores could have already been a head coach. I don't think he really wanted it, though. I think his experience in Miami, I think he's going to be patient and find the right situation. This is what I know about a lot of people that get into coaching. They get into coaching because they love football and they love coaching. And then all of a sudden you become a head coach and you're not coaching anymore. You're like an administrator and you do injury reports and you do podium with the press and you do all this, basically all this crap you don't want to do. Like you want a clicker in your hand, you want to be up on the whiteboard and you want to be designing and coaching your guys.
Right.
And I think I've heard that from a lot of guys that they get hired as a head coach because of what they did as a coach. And then all of a sudden they become like literally a game manager and a schedule maker and stuff like that. And they don't love it. And so maybe it's not what he wants right now. But listen, what he's doing right now is what I think he was built to do.
Yeah.
I mean, this was the guy that was trained up under Bill Belichick. I'm definitely biased because he's a Boston College Eagle, but he's a tough, hard-nosed guy. And that everybody that's ever played defense for him understands exactly where they stand with him. So yeah, that defensive part of it, we're going to always talk about Sam Darnold and the job that they're doing offensively, as we should, because that's been outstanding. But Brian Flores he's a confident play caller, and that's a dangerous, dangerous thing when you're as talented as they are offensively.
Yeah, by the way, Monday Night Football game, the home teams this year have been crushing in these big spots. I really like what Seattle's doing. It's a step up in class. In your, not that they feel like a playoff game, but there is something about the fans are lubricated. It's night. It's louder. Was it tougher as a quarterback going on the road if you were a Seahawk to a loud Monday night crowd?
Yeah, no doubt. But my rookie year, I was with the Green Bay Packers. It felt like we were on primetime like every night. I didn't know it was even like a weird thing. And then I get to Seattle, which is kind of like the witness protection program for a while there. And we never were at night. And I thought, oh, wow, there's never a game where we're sitting around all day watching like daytime television. So it's, I think it's really just like the scheduling of it. And you just kind of got to like lay low. But when you get in that game, I think it's all about what's in the white lines. Now, if you were to ask a left tackle, a right tackle, or a tight end, those guys that are far away from the ball, and they got to get off on the snap count, much more difficult with crowd noise. And obviously, dome stadiums make it a lot tougher. But no, it's a thrill. I think it's a dream come true to play prime time, and guys just love it.
Matt Hasselbeck, 18 years, regular on our show. I always love it when you stop by. I always get smarter, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, too. Thanks, man.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.